everyone, welcome to Taste and Explore. My name is Darlene and what I have for you today is tomato sauce. We are making a basic tomato sauce called marinara sauce, but we're making it my way. And if you followed me 2 or 3 days ago, I made homemade pasta. So what would go better with a homemade pasta? A homemade tomato sauce. So stick around and stay tuned. Walk over to the ingredients so we can get started. What I chose in here right now is tomatoes on the vine. I like these tomatoes because the flesh is a nice dark red flesh. Between these and the plum tomatoes are good to use, but you can pretty much use any tomatoes that you want. What happens is that the other tomatoes are light in color, so when you boil them down and when you mash them up, it looks pale. So sometimes you will have to use maybe a tablespoon of paprika just to change the color. But with this, we don't have to. We're just gonna use these. But we might use it. So let's see how well it does after it cooks. And if it looks a little pale to my likings, I probably will add paprika. So we'll leave that up in the air and see what we're gonna do. So let's walk over to the ingredients right now. Alright, so we have 1 tablespoon of dry basil. You can use fresh if you like. I didn't have that, so I decided to use the dry one. 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning. 3 tablespoons of sugar. The reason why I'm using sugar in here is because it's just to cut the acidity from the tomato. Sometimes it has too much acid in it and it cuts it down. So then I have 1 teaspoon of salt. I have 1/3 cup of Sofrito. Like I said, this is my recipe. This is what I prefer to use. It just gives it good flavor, and you can add Sofrito in anything. And 1/2 cup of virgin olive oil. And 1 whole red onion and some garlic here. Alright, and then I have a big pot of boiling water. We're just gonna blanch the tomatoes so they can get nice and soft and we can remove the skins. It's not to cook it, it's just to remove the skins. Alright, so let's get started. So right now we're gonna start putting in my tomatoes. Now these are not cooking, they're just softening up the skin. I have cut some up. We're just gonna leave them there maybe for about 10 minutes or so, 10 minutes or so. It doesn't really take too long, but there's a lot here. I had cut them up some pieces just to help out in removing the skins. You don't really have to do that, so I pretty much stopped because there was so many in here. So we're just gonna put all these in here, and then when I'm done, I'm gonna let you know what's the next process. So the tomatoes are done. As you can see, some of the skin is lifting. That's what we want. We don't want to overcook them, so we're gonna start taking them out. Please be very careful. They are tremendously hot, so I just want to show you what to look for. So as this is here, you can turn your stove off like I did. The skin is very loose. Actually, I want to put it in here instead. Oof. Okay, so the skin is very loose. What we want to do is remove the skin out. Remove all the skin. Okay. And it's gonna take a little time. It's very hot. I just want to show you. Once all the skin is removed, it's gonna look mushy, which is okay. This is the way it's supposed to look. The strainer is gonna capture the skin and the seeds. But the juices that render off, we're going to keep. We're not going to discard it. But we just want to get rid of the outside and some of the seeds, if possible. Because, you know, you can't really like remove it all. So then I'm gonna put in the skin, I'm sorry, the flesh. And it's okay if you get some of the seeds there. We want to render some, not all, you know. And then this is the process I'm gonna do. And I want to show you once more. As you see, some of the juices come out, which is great. That's what we're gonna use. I'm just squeezing off all the juices that are attached to the skin and the seeds. After all this is done. Okay, so mashing up the tomatoes are all done. You see how we separate them? We did the whole tomatoes. We mashed them up with the strainer, and we got rid of all of the skin and some of the seeds. You might see a few here and there, but that's okay. This is the juice that rendered from the 18 tomatoes. And then I forgot to mention additional. This is the tomato paste. This is a 1/3 cup. It's to thicken the sauce, because when you're dealing with fresh tomatoes, it's watery naturally, so you have to put a thickening agent in there. So now we're going to begin the process, and now we're going to put in olive oil. I'm using the same pot. There's no need to use a different pot and dirty more dishes. Just use what's there. I'm just spreading the oil around. And with that, I'm going to put the onions. I'm going to wait until it heats up. You can heat up with it. It's okay. Because I want the flavors to start spreading out all over the oil. You know the ingredients that you put in here. And now I'm putting in the garlic. So I put in my 7 cloves of garlic. It's like 7 or 8 I put in here. And now I'm just going to let the sauce get flavored up with the onions and the garlic. I'm going to let the onions get translucent. And then we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. Alright, so our onions got translucent, and now I'm going to put the sofrito, my secret ingredient. You know sofrito tastes good in everything. If you haven't seen my video on how to make sofrito, I'm going to put it in the link below. So get your hands on it ASAP, because this stuff is like a key to a lot of foods. This tastes so good. Which it's not really an ingredient that Italians would use to make their marinara sauce, but it's definitely so tasty. I mean, you're not gonna, it's just gonna heighten the flavors intensely. So now I'm gonna put in my dry seasonings. And my salt. Stir it up. Smells magnificent in here. I bet my neighbors can smell this. This stuff smells incredible. Okay, it's getting thick and beautiful. Now I'm going to put the tomato paste in here. And break this down a little bit in here. So I'm going to let this cook up a little bit. Then I'll add the other ingredients. Stay tuned. Let this cook down for a little bit before I add the other 3 ingredients. Now we're going to add the tomatoes. It has a little bit of juice in it, but it's okay. Alrighty. And then goes the rest. So good. Then our sugar, remember, is to cut the acids. It really can be too overwhelming. Alright guys, so we're going to make this cook for at least, I want to say an hour. We're going to check on it. If it needs more time, I will let you know. But right now, it's going to cook for an hour. I'm going to put it on high. Well, let me not say high, medium. And I'm going to put a lid on it. Let it cook for an hour. Checking on it every 10 to 15 minutes. Stirring it a couple of times. And then I'm going to come back to show you what it looks like within an hour. And if it needs more time, I'll let you know. Stay tuned. Now, we finally at the point that we were waiting for. Our tomato sauce had cooked down and looks magnificent. But you see how it's a bit chunky? You can leave it like that. The last time I made this, I just left it big and chunky. But you know what? Not everybody likes it like that. So if you want it to be more rendered down, or rather just completely more creamier, not creamier, I'm sorry, smoother, you can put it in a food processor and blend it up. That way, at the same time, it can get into the consistency you want, and it'll get thicker in the, as it breaks down. It will get thicker. So I'm going to put this amount here. I'm not going to put too much. I don't want to overcrowd this. Okay. I made a mess. Okay, let's blend. That's it. A few seconds. No biggie. Look at that. Look at this. Look how nice it is. It's still kind of chunky, not tremendously amount, and it's not like watery. It has a nice consistency. Still thick. It's very hot still. And there you have it. Homemade tomato sauce. Finished product is done. Homemade marinara sauce. You can't top that, guys. It's better than anything that you ever tasted in the supermarket. So here are the directions. You use the marinara sauce however you like. Whichever way you want to use it, over pasta, over rice, in your meats, in your stews, in your soups, whatever. The way you use the supermarket brand. And also storage. You can store it in Ziploc bags, freezer safe Ziploc bags, or containers in the freezer for 3 months or up to 10 days in the refrigerator. And I hope you enjoy watching today's program. Follow through. I have tons of other recipes that's coming out every week. And I also have a Facebook. Check that out. Subscribe and like. And I will see you soon. Bye bye.